The servant veil was supposed to keep Lily Whitmore invisible, but the night it slipped before the throne, the Alpha King looked at her as if the whole court had been built on a lie. She knelt on the black marble floor of Blackthorn Court with spilled wine darkening the hem of her gray servant dress, her pale ivory skin almost colorless beneath the silver chandeliers, her long dark chestnut brown hair falling loose from its pins, and her silver-gray eyes fixed on the floor because servants were trained to survive by never looking up. Around her, noble houses in silk and velvet whispered behind jeweled hands, amused that a servant Omega had interrupted the Luna ceremony. Lily kept one hand pressed to the veil wrapped around her throat, not to protect her modesty, but to hide the crescent mark beneath it. The mark that Martha Whitmore had warned her never to show. The mark that sometimes warmed near old royal things, as if it remembered a name Lily had never been allowed to know. Lady Vanessa Caldwell stood beside the Luna platform in pale blue silk, fair skin glowing, golden hair arranged like a crown she had not yet earned. Her beautiful mouth curved with cold satisfaction. "A servant who humiliates the court should apologize properly," Vanessa said. "Remove the veil." Lily's breath caught. The hall went still, hungry for a small punishment dressed as etiquette. Lord Marcus Vale, the court steward, watched from near the servant doors with a warning in his eyes sharper than any spoken threat. "Keep your head low. Keep the mark hidden. Stay alive by staying unnoticed." Lily knew those rules. She had lived under them since childhood. She had scrubbed marble floors until her hands shook, carried tea past women who called her Veil Girl, and bowed to nobles who never wondered why a servant would rather be mocked than uncovered. But Vanessa smiled wider, and the command became impossible to refuse without looking guilty. "Take it off," she said softly. Lily lifted trembling fingers to the knot at her throat. The fabric loosened. Somewhere near the throne, Alpha King Adrian Blackthorn stopped speaking to his council. Lily felt it before she saw him, the weight of his attention, heavy as winter, fierce as a storm held behind glass. The veil slipped from her neck and fell into her lap. The royal crescent mark near her left collarbone shone silver against her pale skin. At first, it was only a faint glow. Then the ancient court flame beside the throne bent toward her. Gasps scattered through the hall. Vanessa stepped back. Marcus went white. Lily covered the mark too late, her heart pounding with the old fear that whoever had hidden her would now come to erase what remained. But the Alpha King rose from his throne, tall and broad-shouldered, light olive skin shadowed by black and silver royal clothing, dark hair brushed back, golden wolf eyes fixed on the glowing crescent. Every noble fell silent, because when Adrian Blackthorn stood, the room remembered who ruled it. He descended the steps slowly, not touching Lily, not ordering her seized, his sharp, beautiful face unreadable except for the shock burning beneath his control. He looked at the mark, then at her tired face, and his voice lowered into something that made the entire court freeze. "Who hid you from me?" Lily could not answer. She did not know whether he had found her salvation or her ruin. She only knew the mark under her fingers was glowing brighter, and every person who had ever called her servant was suddenly staring as if the lowest girl in the room had become the secret that could unmake them all. 3 weeks before the veil fell in Blackthorn Court, Lily Whitmore woke before the palace bells and tied the gray servant cloth around her throat with fingers that knew the knot better than prayer. The servant wing of Blackthorn Palace was narrow, cold, and hidden behind the western kitchens, a place built for people whose labor needed to appear by sunrise and disappear before dinner. Lily's room held one iron bed, one cracked basin, one wooden shelf, and a small square window facing the laundry yard. Frost clung to the glass. Her pale ivory skin looked almost translucent in the weak blue light, and her long dark chestnut brown hair fell over one shoulder as she leaned close to the mirror. For a moment, before the veil covered her, the royal crescent mark near her left collarbone glimmered faint silver. Lily covered it quickly. She had been doing that since she was old enough to understand that secrets could become graves if the wrong people saw them. Martha Whitmore, the woman who raised her, had taught her the rule in a voice softer than fear, but heavier than law. Never let the court see the crescent. So Lily did not. She made herself small. She kept her silver-gray eyes lowered. She wore the servant veil even when other maids whispered that she thought herself too delicate to be seen. She let them call her veil girl because mockery was safer than recognition. By 4:30 in the morning, she was in the marble corridor outside the East Hall, scrubbing the floor with a bucket of lavender water gone gray from ash and boot dust. Blackthorn Palace looked grand to those who entered through the front gates, all silver spires, wolf statues, tall windows, and velvet banners. To Lily, it was measured in sore knees, cold fingers, and bells that decided when she could breathe. She polished the marble until the chandeliers reflected in it like trapped moons, then stepped back before the first noblewoman crossed the hall. Servants were not supposed to be visible after making beauty possible. A young kitchen boy named Caleb hurried past carrying a crate of apples almost too heavy for his arms. He stumbled near the service stairs, and Lily caught the edge of the crate before it fell. "Careful," she whispered. Caleb flushed. "Thank you. Do not thank me where anyone hears." He gave a nervous smile and rushed on. Kindness in the palace was allowed only if it did not inconvenience hierarchy. Lily learned that early. When a scullery girl burned a tray of rolls, Lily traded her own breakfast shift to help remake them. When old Mrs. Arden's hands shook too much to sew a torn curtain, Lily stayed past midnight and stitched it by candlelight. When younger servants cried after being scolded by nobles who could not tell one maid from another, Lily sat beside them in the laundry room and told them the palace was not the whole world, even when she was not sure she believed it. What she never told anyone was that sometimes, when she passed the sealed moon relics near the throne corridor, the mark beneath her veil warmed like a hidden ember. At 6, Lord Marcus Vale inspected the servant line. He was the court steward, light-skinned, brown hair threaded with silver, dressed in a dark formal coat so precise it made every wrinkle in the servants' uniforms look like a moral failure. He stopped in front of Lily, his eyes dropping to her veil. They always did. Still wearing that cloth. Lily lowered her head. "Yes, Lord Vale. Servant fashion is not a place for personal expression." "It is not expression." "Then what is it?" "Protection." "Warning. The last promise Martha left me." Lily kept her voice quiet. "A habit." Marcus studied her face, the pale skin, the tired beauty she tried to make plain, the silver-gray eyes she kept from meeting his. "Habits can attract attention." Her stomach tightened. "I try not to. Try harder." He moved down the line, but his words stayed at her throat like a tighter knot. Lily had never known exactly what Marcus knew. Only that he noticed too much. Only that when Martha died 2 winters ago, her small room in the servant wing had been cleared before Lily could collect all her things, and Marcus himself had taken the little cedar box Martha used to keep locked. When Lily asked for it, he said no such box had been found. That was the palace way. First it took. Then it denied that anything had existed to be taken. By late morning, Lily carried tea to the south drawing room, where noble ladies had gathered for Luna selection fittings. Lady Vanessa Caldwell sat near the window in pale blue silk, fair skin luminous, golden hair falling in perfect waves over one shoulder. She looked like every painting of a future Luna, elegant, confident, untouched by labor, surrounded by women who laughed before she finished speaking. Lily entered with the tray held steady at chest height. "Tea, my lady." Vanessa did not look up. "Set it there, Vale girl." Lily placed the tray on the table. Another noblewoman smiled. "Does she ever show her face properly?" "Only enough to remind us why she hides the rest," Vanessa said. The room laughed softly. Lily kept her hands still. The insult was old. That did not make it painless. "Is there anything else, my lady?" Vanessa finally looked at her, eyes narrowing with idle curiosity. "Lift your chin." Lily did. Not too much. Never enough to expose the veil's edge. Vanessa tilted her head. "Pretty enough, under the exhaustion." "That must be inconvenient in the servant wing." Lily did not answer. No response. Servants are not encouraged to have opinions. Vanessa smiled. How obedient. Lily thought of the marble floors, the hidden mark, the rules that kept her alive. Not always. The smile faded for a fraction of a second. Then Vanessa picked up a porcelain cup and let one drop of tea fall deliberately onto the polished table. "Clean that." Lily took the cloth from her apron and wiped the spill. She felt every woman watching her bent head, waiting to see whether humiliation would make her tremble. It did not. She had learned to let shame pass through her hands and not enter her spine. When she left the drawing room, Caleb was waiting in the corridor with a worried face. "You should not talk back to Lady Caldwell." "I barely talked." "That may be enough." Lily looked toward the distant throne corridor, where black banners hung beneath silver wolf crests. It is strange how little is enough when people want a reason. The rest of the day moved like a chain pulled slowly through water. Lily carried linens to the guest suites, polished candelabras for the banquet hall, folded black napkins stamped with the blackthorn crest, and scrubbed wine stains from a practice table where noble candidates would dine during selection week. Every room prepared for women who had come to be seen. Lily prepared them while making herself vanish. By sunset, her feet ached inside plain black shoes, and her hands smelled of soap, wax, and silver polish. She found a quiet moment in the old moon passage, a narrow corridor servants used to reach the western storage rooms. At the end stood a sealed gate carved with crescent moons, older than the current palace, its stones worn smooth by time. Lily had been found near that gate as a child, wrapped in a blue blanket with no name but the one Martha gave her. She touched the cold stone. Through her glove, the mark beneath her veil warmed. "What are you?" she whispered. The gate gave no answer. Footsteps sounded behind her. Lily turned sharply. Marcus stood at the passage entrance. "You are not assigned here." Her hand dropped from the stone. "I was taking the short route to storage." "Do not." His eyes flicked to her throat. "Some doors remain closed for good reason." "Were they closed before I was found here?" The question escaped before caution caught it. Marcus's face went still. "You were a servant child taken in by mercy. Do not grow addicted to mystery. It makes low people imagine they were meant for higher rooms." Lily felt the mark burn beneath the veil, not with fear this time, but with something like anger. "Maybe higher rooms only look high because people like you keep others on their knees." Marcus stepped closer, voice low. "Watch your tongue, Lily Whitmore. Names can be removed from palace records more easily than they are added." He left her there with the old gate behind her and the warning in front of her. That night, after the final bell, Lily returned to her small room and untied the veil. The crescent mark glowed softly in the mirror, silver against her pale ivory skin, beautiful in a way that frightened her because beauty drew eyes and eyes drew danger. She thought of Martha, whose tired hands had brushed her hair before dawn, whose voice had taught her every rule of hiding, whose last fevered whisper had been, "They must never know what you carry." Lily had spent her whole life believing the mark was a burden, a reason to stay low, a secret that could destroy her if revealed. But as Luna selection week approached and the palace filled with women dressed to be chosen, Lily looked at the hidden crescent and wondered, for the first time, whether it was not hiding shame at all. Perhaps it was hiding a name. A stolen one. A dangerous one. A name powerful enough that Lord Marcus Vale feared a servant who never looked up. Lily did not sleep the night after Lord Marcus found her at the old moon gate. She lay on the narrow iron bed in the servant wing with the gray veil folded beneath her hand, watching the frost gather along the window until the glass looked like it had been covered in pale feathers. The palace was quiet above her, but Blackthorn Palace never truly slept. Pipes sighed inside the walls. Distant guards crossed stone corridors. Somewhere, a noble guest laughed too late and too loudly, safe in a room Lily had probably cleaned. She turned her head toward the small mirror on the shelf. In the darkness, the crescent mark near her left collarbone glowed faintly through the open collar of her nightdress, silver against her pale ivory skin. It looked gentle. That was what frightened her most. Dangerous things were supposed to announce themselves with ugliness. This mark was beautiful, and every beautiful thing in the palace seemed to belong to someone powerful enough to take it. Lily pressed her palm over the crescent and closed her eyes, letting memory pull her backward to the first voice that had ever called her daughter. Martha Whitmore had not been her blood mother. She had told Lily that truth early, plainly, and without apology, as if love did not become smaller when honesty entered the room. Martha had found her 12 years earlier outside the old moon gate at the western edge of Blackthorn Palace, wrapped in a damp blue blanket, shivering beneath a stormy night sky. Lily had no memory of being found, only the story Martha repeated whenever Lily woke from the same dream. Rain on stone, silver light under skin, a woman's voice singing a lullaby Lily could never remember in the morning. Martha had been a laundry servant then, already past 50, with tired brown hands and a heart too stubborn to obey palace cruelty. She named the child Lily because, she said, even flowers found near stone deserved a name before someone called them weeds. For the first few years, Lily believed that was all she was, an abandoned servant child raised by mercy. Then, when she was 10, she ran through the moon passage during a game with Caleb and brushed against the old gate. The crescent mark under her collar flashed bright enough to turn the corridor silver. Martha found her sitting on the floor, crying not from pain, but from fear of the light that came from her own skin. That was the first time Martha made her promise never to let court eyes see it. Is it a curse? Lily had asked, trembling beneath the blanket Martha wrapped around her shoulders. Martha held her face and looked at her for a long time before answering. No child is born cursed. Then why must I hide it? Martha's eyes moved toward the closed door. Because the court fears what it cannot control, and it controls what it cannot afford to fear. Lily did not understand then. She only understood the rules that followed. Always cover the mark. Never touch the moon relics. Never enter the throne hall alone. Never let Lord Marcus ask you questions without another servant nearby. Never believe a noble smile means safety. Most of all, never stand close enough to the Alpha King's bloodline for the crescent to answer. Lily grew up with those rules stitched into her days. While other servant girls dreamed of leaving palace service, marrying decent tradesmen, or earning enough to rent a room with sunlight, Lily dreamed of being ordinary enough to uncover her throat in summer. She wanted small things. To walk through the courtyard without the veil sticking to her skin. To swim in the cold creek beyond the servant road without hiding her shoulder. To look someone in the eye and not wonder whether the mark had begun to glow. But every time she allowed herself to imagine that freedom, Martha's fear returned. Not fear of Lily. Fear for her. The last winter of Martha's life made that fear sharper. She had become thin and pale, her breath shallow after long shifts in the laundry steam, yet she still rose whenever Lily forgot the veil. Promise me, Martha whispered one night, gripping Lily's wrist with surprising strength. Lily knelt beside the bed, silver-gray eyes burning. I promise. Not just the veil. Promise me you will not let them convince you that being hidden means being low. Lily swallowed. I am low. Martha's face tightened with grief. No. You were placed low. That is not the same thing. Lily had wanted to ask what that meant. She had wanted to ask who left her by the moon gate, why the mark responded to old royal stone, why Lord Marcus looked at her as if she were a locked room he hated keeping closed. But Martha began coughing, and Lily chose comfort over answers because she thought there would be another morning. There was not. By sunrise, Martha was gone, and by noon, Marcus had taken the cedar box from beneath her bed. Lily still remembered standing in the corridor outside Martha's room, hands shaking, veil pulled high, while Marcus carried the box under one arm. Those are her things, Lily said. He did not stop walking. Palace property. Her letters were inside. Servants do not keep private archives. She raised me. Marcus turned then, his face polite and empty. And now you will raise yourself quietly if you are wise. That day taught Lily that grief could be stolen in pieces. A room cleared too soon. A box denied. A name spoken only by the dead. After Martha, Lily became even more careful. She kept her head down not because she believed servants deserved lowered eyes, but because survival had become the only inheritance she understood. She avoided the old moon gate, though sometimes she dreamed of it glowing behind her. She avoided royal relics, though the air around them tugged at her skin like a remembered song. She avoided the throne hall whenever possible, though she had once glimpsed Alpha King Adrian Blackthorn from a distance during a winter procession. He had been 30 feet away, tall and broad-shouldered beneath black banners, light olive skin framed by a dark royal collar, golden wolf eyes scanning the court with such controlled power that every noble voice fell silent. Lily had looked down at once. The crescent mark warmed beneath her veil anyway. That warmth terrified her for days. She told herself it meant nothing. A servant could not be connected to an alpha king. A hidden mark could not be a bridge to a throne. The court did not misplace girls of importance in laundry rooms. It buried them there. That thought came to her now in the darkness of the servant wing, and Lily sat up slowly. Maybe Martha had not hidden her because the mark was shameful. Maybe she had hidden her because someone powerful had already tried to erase whatever the mark proved. Lily crossed the room and opened the small loose board. Beneath her bed, where she kept the only thing Marcus had not taken, a scrap of blue blanket from the night she was found. Martha had cut it and sewn the piece into Lily's first pillow, then later gave it to her with no explanation except, "Some truths need cloth when paper is not safe." Lily unfolded it carefully. In the moonlight, faded silver thread appeared along one torn edge. She had seen it before, but never under the mark's glow. This time the thread shimmered into the shape of a partial crest, a crescent over a branch of white leaves. Lily's breath caught. It was not the blackthorn wolf crest. It was not any servant mark she knew. The crescent at her collar warmed in answer. A sound rose outside her room, soft footsteps in the corridor. Lily folded the cloth quickly and reached for the veil. Before she could tie it, a shadow paused beneath her door. For one long second, no one knocked. Then a slip of paper slid under the threshold. Lily waited until the footsteps faded before picking it up. The message was written in a careful hand she did not recognize. "Do not let the Luna selection bring you near the moon chalice. Marcus knows the mark is waking." Lily stared at the words until they blurred. The moon chalice was the oldest relic used in Luna selection week. It would be in the banquet hall in 2 days. Servants had been assigned to polish and carry every ceremonial piece before the noble candidates arrived. Lily's name was on that list. Suddenly, every rule Martha had left behind felt less like superstition and more like a map drawn by someone running out of time. Lily tied the veil around her throat with hands that no longer shook from sleepiness. She was afraid, yes. Afraid of Marcus. Afraid of the mark. Afraid that the past hidden inside her skin was waking faster than she could understand it. But beneath the fear, something else stirred, small and dangerous. If Marcus knew the mark was waking, then Marcus knew what it was. If Martha had warned her away from court, then court had been the danger, not the dream. And if the moon chalice could expose her, then perhaps it could also prove she had been more than a servant long before anyone taught her to. Bow. Luna selection week began with a bell Lily had polished, but had never been allowed to answer. Its sound rolled through Blackthorn Palace just after sunrise, deep and silver, calling noble houses through the front gates while servants rushed through the side corridors with trays, ribbons, pressed linens, and lowered eyes. Lily stood in the western storage room with the warning note hidden inside her sleeve and the gray veil tied high around her throat. "Do not let the Luna selection bring you near the moon chalice. Marcus knows the mark is waking." She had read those words so many times the paper had softened at the folds, but fear did not become less sharp from being familiar. On the table before her lay the ceremonial inventory for the royal banquet: crystal wine stems, silver plates, moonflower garlands, black napkins stamped with the wolf crest, and at the center of the list, written in elegant ink, the moon chalice. Lily kept her hands away from that line as if ink could burn. Her pale ivory skin looked almost ghostly in the storage room's blue morning light, and her long dark chestnut brown hair was pinned beneath a plain servant cap, though several strands had already escaped near her cheeks. She had slept less than 2 hours. Her silver-gray eyes looked tired in the reflection of the polished serving tray, but the veil was in place. The crescent mark was hidden. For now, hidden still meant alive. Caleb entered carrying a crate of folded table runners and nearly dropped it when he saw her standing motionless. "You look like you are waiting for the floor to open." Lily folded the inventory paper. It would be rude not to consider every escape. He gave a nervous smile, then lowered his voice. "Did you hear? House Caldwell arrived with 12 carriages. Lady Vanessa brought 3 trunks just for hair ornaments. That must be a heavy burden. Do not say that where anyone with pearls can hear you. Lily almost smiled, but the sound of Lord Marcus Vale's footsteps killed it before it formed. The court steward appeared in the doorway dressed in a dark formal coat, every button aligned, his light skin calm, brown hair threaded with silver, his eyes already searching for disorder. They stopped, as always, at Lily's veil. Whitmore. Lily lowered her head. Lord Vale. Mina has taken fever. You will replace her in the royal banquet hall tonight. The storage room seemed to tilt. Caleb looked at her sharply. Lily kept her voice even by force. I am assigned to laundry rotation tonight. Not anymore. Marcus stepped inside and handed her a folded assignment card sealed with the steward mark. You will serve the inner court tables nearest the throne dais. The warning note in her sleeve felt suddenly alive against her wrist. There are senior servants better suited to that position. Correct. They are needed elsewhere. His face did not change, but Lily heard the lie because survival had trained her to hear what courtesy tried to cover. Is there a reason you object to serving near the throne? Her pulse beat under the hidden crescent. No, Lord Vale. Good. Servants who appear reluctant during Luna selection draw attention. Attention creates questions. Questions rarely improve a servant's future. He turned to leave, then paused. And Lily? She looked up only enough to see his mouth. Keep your veil tidy. A loose knot can ruin everything. After he left, Caleb whispered, What does that mean? Lily stared at the assignment card. It means he knows exactly where he is sending me. By noon, Blackthorn Palace no longer belonged to the people who kept it standing. Noble houses filled the main corridors with perfume, silk, polished boots, and the soft arrogance of guests who believed welcome was owed to them. Servants moved around them like shadows trained not to collide with light. Lily carried stacks of pressed napkins through the side passage and saw Lady Vanessa Caldwell at the top of the east stairs, fair skin glowing under pearl pins, golden hair falling over pale blue silk. Surrounded by young noble women who watched the palace as if choosing which parts already belonged to them. Vanessa's gaze found Lily immediately. It was the veil. It always was. There she is, Vanessa said softly, but loud enough for her circle to hear. The servant who dresses like a secret. Lily lowered her eyes and stepped aside. Vanessa descended 2 steps. You will serve tonight, will you not? Lily held the napkins tighter. Where I am assigned, my lady. Then try not to spill anything near the throne. Men forgive clumsiness only when it comes from beautiful women, and servants are expected to be invisible. Lily did not answer. Silence was supposed to be obedience, but Vanessa treated it like a challenge anyway. Look at me when I speak to you. Lily raised her chin just enough. Her silver-gray eyes met Vanessa's pale blue gaze for one measured breath. The noble women stopped whispering. Something passed across Vanessa's face, annoyance first, then interest, then a thin line of suspicion. Your eyes are strange, Vanessa said. Forgive me, Lily replied. I did not choose them to offend you. A servant behind her nearly inhaled too loudly. Vanessa smiled without warmth. You have a dangerous habit of sounding less low than you are. Lily bowed. I will work on disappointing you more quietly. She walked away before Vanessa could answer, heart pounding so hard she felt each beat in the crescent beneath her veil. She should not have said it. She knew that. Pride was expensive in the servant wing. But after Marcus, after the note, after years of letting nobles press their shoes against her name, some part of Lily had begun to resist staying small enough to survive. The banquet hall opened at dusk like a dream designed by people who had never washed their own hands. Silver chandeliers hung from a ceiling painted with moon phases. Black banners bearing the Blackthorn wolf crest fell between tall arched windows. Long tables curved around the throne dais, each set with crystal, moonflower garlands, and folded napkins sharp enough to cut light. At the center of the high table stood the moon chalice. Lily saw it from the servant entrance and stopped breathing. It was larger than she expected, silver-white, carved with crescent moons and branches of pale leaves that looked painfully familiar. Like the faded thread on the scrap of blue blanket under her bed. The chalice did not glow. It simply waited. That was worse. The crescent under Lily's veil warmed in recognition. Not a flare. Not yet. A slow awakening, like someone in another room hearing her name. She stepped back, but Marcus appeared behind her. Problem? No, then serve. The hall filled. Noble candidates took their places near the Luna platform. Lady Vanessa sat closest to the throne, pale blue silk exchanged for silver-white satin, fair face shining with perfect confidence. Lord Marcus moved among staff with quiet commands. Council elders gathered near the royal seats. Then the doors opened, and Alpha King Adrian Blackthorn entered. Every sound in the banquet hall lowered itself. He was 33, tall and broad-shouldered, light olive skin warm under the chandelier glow, black hair brushed back from a face so sharp and beautiful it seemed carved for judgment, golden wolf eyes carrying the kind of silence that made even proud nobles remember caution. He wore black and silver royal clothing with subtle wolf crest details, no softness in his posture, no wasted movement. Lily lowered her eyes as he passed, but the mark beneath her veil heated suddenly, fiercely, as if the hidden crescent had turned toward him before she could stop it. Adrian slowed. Only half a step. No one else seemed to notice. Lily did. Terror slipped cold through her ribs. She moved to the lower table with a tray of water glasses, forcing each motion to remain steady. Do not go near the moon chalice. Do not let the court see the crescent. Do not stand close to the Alpha King's bloodline. Every rule collided in the same room, and Marcus had placed her at the center of it. For the first hour, Lily survived by inches. She refilled glasses, cleared plates, carried bread, and kept the serving tray between her body and the high table. Adrian spoke with council members, his voice low and controlled. Vanessa laughed at the right moments, leaning slightly toward him as if the room had already promised her future. Once, Lily felt his gaze brush her from across the hall. She looked down before it could become a question. Then a noblewoman near Vanessa lifted her hand carelessly and knocked a silver fork beneath the high table. "Servant," she called. "Fetch that." Lily stepped forward before she realized where the fork had fallen. It lay beside the base of the moon chalice stand. Marcus watched from the far aisle. Vanessa watched from the Luna platform. Adrian was still speaking to an elder, but his golden eyes shifted. Lily bent carefully, reaching under the table. Her gloved fingers closed around the fork. The edge of her wrist brushed the chalice stand. The world went silent. The crescent beneath her veil flared with heat. The moon chalice answered in silver light, bright enough to shine through the gray cloth at her throat. Lily jerked back, but the chalice had already begun to hum, low and ancient, vibrating through crystal glasses and silver plates. Every royal flame in the banquet hall leaned toward her. Conversations died one by one. Lily stood frozen with the fork in her hand, veil glowing at the left side of her throat, silver light pulsing like a heartbeat no servant should possess. Vanessa rose from her chair, face draining of color before fury replaced it. Marcus whispered something Lily could not hear, but his panic was clear at last. And at the head of the hall, Alpha King Adrian Blackthorn stopped speaking. Slowly, he turned. His golden wolf eyes locked on Lily, not on the fork, not on the spill, not on the servant dress or the lowered tray, but on the hidden mark blazing beneath her veil. The entire banquet hall held its breath. Lily stepped back once, and the moon chalice glowed brighter, as if refusing to let her vanish again. The moon chalice should have been untouchable to a servant, and that was why every eye in the banquet hall turned on Lily Whitmore as if her gloved fingers had reached into the heart of the crown. She stood beside the high table with the fallen silver fork still in her hand, her pale ivory skin washed in the strange light shining through the veil at her throat, her long dark chestnut brown hair slipping from its pins, her silver-gray eyes wide but refusing to fall to the floor. The gray servant veil glowed from beneath, not brightly enough to reveal the crescent mark fully, but enough for everyone to know something hidden was answering the oldest relic in Blackthorn Palace. The moon chalice hummed on its stand, low and silver, sending tiny ripples through every glass on the table. Royal flames along the walls leaned toward Lily one by one, their golden tips bending as if wind had entered the sealed hall. But there was no wind. Only silence. Then a noblewoman whispered, "Forbidden glamour." The words moved through the banquet like spilled ink. Lily knew that word. Glamour was what nobles called any magic they wanted common people to fear. A servant's beauty could be glamour. A servant's confidence could be glamour. A servant's secret, if it made the powerful uncomfortable, would certainly be called glamour before truth had time to speak. Lady Vanessa Caldwell rose from the Luna platform in silver-white satin, fair skin pale beneath pearl earrings, golden hair arranged with perfect elegance even as her eyes sharpened with alarm. "Step away from the chalice," she said, each word smooth and public. Lily did, slowly, holding her hands where everyone could see them. "I did not mean to touch it. Relics do not answer accidents." Vanessa's gaze dropped to the glowing veil. "What have you hidden under that cloth?" Lily's hand moved halfway to her throat before she forced it down. Martha's warning pressed inside her memory with urgent heat. Never let the court see the crescent. But the court was already seeing enough to become dangerous. Lord Marcus Vale crossed the hall with the swift control of a man trying not to run. His light skin looked tight around the mouth, his brown hair threaded with silver catching chandelier light as he placed himself between Lily and the noble tables. "The servant will be removed and questioned privately," he announced. His voice was calm, but Lily heard the panic beneath it. A household irregularity, nothing more. The moon chalice pulsed again. Silver light climbed the engraved moons along its side, and the branch pattern carved into the cup brightened like white leaves beneath winter sun. Lily stared at the carving, breath caught. It matched the faded silver thread on the scrap of blue blanket hidden beneath her bed. Crescent over white leaves. Not a servant sign. Not a blackthorn wolf. Something older. Something Martha had carried across years of silence. Alpha King. Adrian Blackthorn stepped down from the throne dais. He did not move quickly, but the entire hall reacted as if thunder had taken human form. He was tall and broad-shouldered in black and silver royal clothing, light olive skin warm beneath the chandelier glow, black hair brushed back from a sharp, beautiful face, golden wolf eyes locked on Lily with a restraint so intense it frightened her more than anger would have. Every noble voice died before he reached the high table. Marcus bowed at once. "Your Majesty, I will handle this servant matter." Adrian stopped beside the moon chalice. It stopped being a servant matter when the chalice woke. The words passed through the room like a door opening in a place no one admitted existed. Lily took another step back, but the chalice light followed, reflecting silver across the marble between them. Adrian looked at her, not at the veil first, not at the uniform, not at the floor she was expected to stare at. At her. "What is your name?" Marcus answered. "Lily Whitmore, kitchen and hall service, Western Wing." Adrian's eyes did not leave Lily. "I asked her." Lily's throat tightened under the glowing cloth. "Lily Whitmore. Were you ordered to touch the chalice?" "No." Vanessa's laugh was soft and cruel. "How convenient. A servant accidentally reaches the one relic no servant should approach, and it happens to answer her." Lily turned toward her. "I was picking up a fork because one of your friends dropped it." A murmur passed through the lower tables. Vanessa's smile froze. "Careful. I have been careful my whole life." The confession slipped out before Lily could stop it, raw and quiet, but the hall heard enough. Adrian heard all of it. His expression changed, not softened exactly, but deepened, as if those 8 words had reached a place beneath the crown. Marcus's hand closed around Lily's upper arm, formal rather than rough, but still without permission. "Enough. Come quietly." The crescent mark flared beneath the veil. Lily pulled free, and the royal flames bent lower, their light turning silver at the edges. Marcus stumbled one step back, more shocked than hurt, staring at his own empty hand. Everyone froze. Lily froze too. She had not pushed him. She had only refused to be moved, and the room had answered. The moon chalice lifted a thin ribbon of silver light from its rim, not into the air like smoke, but toward Lily's covered throat, delicate and precise, as if tracing a path it already knew. The glow touched the edge of her veil and stopped, waiting. Waiting for permission, she realized. Not forcing. Asking. That almost made her cry. The first old power she had ever faced in court had better manners than the people who ran it. Adrian saw it too. He took one step closer, then stopped at a respectful distance. Lily, he said, her name low enough to feel private in a hall full of witnesses, you do not have to remove the veil because they demand it. Vanessa's eyes flashed. Your Majesty, she is influencing the relic and possibly you. Adrian finally looked at Vanessa. The hall turned cold under that glance. If I were influenced, Lady Caldwell, I might mistake your fear for wisdom. Her face went still. Marcus moved to recover control. The servant has concealed an unauthorized mark. Under court conduct rules, the steward has authority to examine and record any hidden sign that disrupts royal ceremony. Lily looked at him. You knew there was a mark. Marcus's face did not change quickly enough. That tiny delay became a confession to anyone watching closely. Adrian's eyes narrowed. How would he know that? Vanessa answered too fast. Many servants hide blemishes. Blemishes do not wake the moon chalice, Adrian said. The chalice hummed louder and the silver ribbon of light brightened against Lily's veil. Beneath the cloth, the crescent mark warmed with a strange steadiness. It did not feel like a curse. It did not even feel like fear. It felt like recognition pressing gently from the inside, not demanding that Lily become someone else, but asking her to stop apologizing for being hidden. She thought of Martha tying the veil with careful hands. She thought of the warning note under her sleeve. She thought of the old moon gate, the blue blanket, the white leaf crest, Marcus's stolen cedar box, and the way Vanessa had said servant as if it meant lesser soul instead of harder life. Lily lifted her hands to the knot at her throat. The hall inhaled as one. Adrian's voice stopped her before the cloth loosened. Only if you choose. The sentence held her still. Not because it commanded, but because it gave back the one thing the court had spent her life taking in pieces. Choice. Lily looked at him then, fully looked, breaking every rule drilled into her servant bones. His golden wolf eyes did not burn with possession. They held shock, suspicion, and something fiercely protective, but he waited. Alpha King Adrian Blackthorne, the man whose presence silenced nobles, waited for a servant girl's answer. Lily untied the veil. The cloth fell into her hands. The royal crescent mark near her left collarbone shone clear against her pale ivory skin, silver and elegant, shaped like a moon caught over a branch of white leaves. The moon chalice answered with a sudden bloom of light, bright enough to turn the entire banquet hall silver. Crystal glasses rang softly. The royal flames bowed toward Lily. Not toward the throne. Not toward Vanessa. Not even toward Adrian. Toward Lily. Someone dropped a cup. No one laughed. No one dared. Lily stood bare-throated before the court for the first time in her life, trembling but upright, her long dark hair loose around her tired, beautiful face, her silver-gray eyes shining with fear and fury and the first fragile edge of understanding. Marcus whispered, impossible. Adrian heard him. No, the Alpha King said, still staring at the crescent mark. Hidden. The word struck Lily harder than accusation. Hidden meant someone had known. Hidden meant someone had chosen the servant wing, the veil, the lowered eyes, the stolen box, the warnings, the years of silence. Hidden meant she had not imagined the shape of her own life closing around a secret. Vanessa stepped down from the Luna platform, all polished grace and rising desperation. Your Majesty, whatever this is, it cannot be allowed to disrupt selection. A glowing mark does not make a servant noble. Lily looked at her, the veil hanging from her fingers. No, but it seems to make nobles nervous. A few servants near the wall lowered their faces to hide expressions. Adrian's mouth did not smile, but something like approval touched his eyes. Then the chalice light narrowed into a single beam and settled on the scrap of warning paper that had slipped from Lily's sleeve onto the marble. Marcus saw it and moved first. Adrian moved faster. He picked up the paper before Marcus could reach it, read the message once, and his expression went dangerously still. Do not let the Luna selection bring you near the moon chalice. Marcus knows the mark is waking. The king looked at Marcus. You will not remove her. Marcus bowed with visible effort. Your Majesty, the safest course is private examination. The safest course for whom? Silence. The question landed exactly where the steward had hoped no one would look. Adrian turned to the guard captain near the door. Seal the banquet hall records. Send for the royal archivist. No servant assignments, guest movements, or relic logs are to be altered. Vanessa's voice sharpened. You cannot place selection week under suspicion over one veiled girl. Adrian looked back at Lily, at the crescent glowing brighter now that it had air, and when he spoke, the whole court listened because there was no throne in his voice, only judgment. If one veiled girl can frighten an entire court, then the suspicion was already here. Lily should have felt saved. Instead, she felt exposed beyond anything she had feared. Every noble saw her throat. Every servant saw the mark. Marcus knew he had lost secrecy. Vanessa knew Lily had become a threat. Adrian knew enough to start asking questions no one wanted answered. And Lily knew, with terrible certainty, that the palace had not hidden her to protect her from shame. It had hidden her to protect itself from her name. Adrian did not take Lily to the throne room after the moon chalice bowed to her. He took her away from every eye that wanted to turn her into evidence. The guards cleared the banquet hall corridor as she walked beside him, still holding the fallen veil in one hand, the royal crescent mark exposed near her left collarbone and glowing faint silver against her pale, ivory skin. Her long dark chestnut brown hair had slipped almost entirely. Loose, soft strands brushing her cheeks, and she could feel the stares of servants, nobles, and council elders following her like cold hands. She wanted to cover the mark again. She wanted the familiar gray cloth tied high at her throat, wanted the safety of being mocked instead of studied. But the veil felt heavier now, not like protection, but like proof of how long fear had dressed itself as obedience. Adrian walked several feet ahead at first, tall and broad-shouldered in black and silver, light olive skin shadowed beneath the corridor lamps, golden wolf eyes scanning every doorway before she passed it. Then he slowed, letting her choose whether to walk beside him or behind him. That small adjustment unsettled her more than command would have. Kings were not supposed to notice the shape of another person's fear. Lily stopped outside a carved black door near the Royal Archive corridor. Where are you taking me? Adrian turned. His sharp, beautiful face was controlled, but not cold toward her. A private receiving room near the archive. The Royal Archivist is coming. The healer too, if you permit it. If I permit it? The words sounded strange in her mouth. Servants were told where to stand, when to lift, when to bow, when to vanish. They were not asked permission by Alpha Kings. Adrian heard the disbelief. No one examines the mark without your consent. Her fingers closed around the veil. And if I refuse? Then no one examines it. And if your court dislikes that? His golden eyes moved briefly toward the banquet hall doors, where the hum of panic still pressed against the walls. My court has survived discomfort before. Lily wanted to trust the answer. That was why she distrusted it. Hope was most dangerous when it arrived wearing exactly the voice a wounded heart wanted to hear. You stopped them because of the mark, she said. Not because of me. Adrian did not deny it quickly. He looked at the crescent, then forced his gaze back to her face with visible discipline. I noticed the mark because the moon chalice woke. I stopped them because Marcus put his hand on you without permission. Lily's throat tightened. She remembered the steward's grip. Formal enough for court, familiar enough to remind her she had never fully belonged to herself here. You saw that? Yes. Everyone saw it. Not everyone cared. The honesty hit harder than comfort. Lily looked down at the veil in her hand. And you care now because I may be important. Adrian opened the receiving room door but did not enter first. I care now because you were treated as unimportant before anyone knew what you carried. Both things can be true, and the second one is the part one I'm responsible for correcting. Lily stepped into the room because staying in the hallway felt like letting the court watch her decide whether fear would keep ruling her. The receiving room was small by palace standards, but larger than the entire servant dormitory she shared with 6 women. Dark wood walls, tall windows facing the moon garden, a low fire in a black stone hearth, a table set with water, tea, and clean cloth, shelves of old law books, and 2 doors, one to the corridor, one to the archive passage. Lily noticed immediately that neither door was locked. Adrian noticed her noticing. "You may leave if you choose." Marcus said names can be removed from palace records. Marcus no longer controls where you are recorded. That is not the same as safe. No, Adrian said quietly. It is not. He stood near the hearth, leaving the chair closest to the door for her. Lily sat only because her knees had begun to shake, and she hated that he might see it. The silver mark pulsed beneath the collar of her gray servant dress, filling the room with a low glow that made the old books look like they were listening. Adrian removed his black gloves and set them on the mantel. His hands were large, steady, marked with faint silver lines of old royal vows. Lily stared before she could stop herself. The crescent warmed. Adrian saw and folded his hands behind his back. "Does my presence hurt you?" "No, does it frighten you?" She looked up. "Yes." He nodded once, accepting it like a fact rather than an accusation. "Good." Her eyes narrowed. "Good. Fear means your instincts are still yours. The mark answering me does not mean you owe me trust." Lily had never heard a powerful man speak that way. She had heard nobles call fear disrespect. She had heard Marcus call silence wisdom. She had heard Vanessa call dignity arrogance. Adrian named fear as something that belonged to Lily, and that made the room feel less steady. She took a breath. "The mark warmed the first time I saw you." His expression changed, only slightly, but she saw the impact. "When?" "A winter procession. I was in the lower corridor. You were about 30 feet away. I looked down before you saw me. I should have seen you." "Why?" "I was a servant." The words came out sharper than she intended. Adrian's jaw tightened. "That is not an excuse I want to keep using." Silence settled between them, heavy with things too large to name. Attraction was not the right word for what pulled at Lily then, though it frightened her in the same place. He was beautiful in a dangerous way, all control and power restrained by choice, golden eyes too intense for comfort. But the pull was not only beauty. It was the impossible fact that he could have demanded answers in front of the court and had not. He could have ordered her veil removed again and had not. He could have let Marcus take her and preserve a peaceful Luna selection, and instead he had broken the hall open around a servant girl's hidden mark. That did not make him safe. It made him complicated. A knock came at the archive door. Adrian looked at Lily before speaking. "May they enter?" Another question. Another piece of choice placed in her hands like something fragile. Lily nodded. "Yes." An elderly woman entered carrying a black leather case, white hair pinned loosely, spectacles low on her nose, ink staining 2 fingers. Behind her came a calm, middle-aged healer with deep brown skin, dark braided hair, and a crystal lamp held carefully in both hands. The elderly woman bowed first to Lily, then to Adrian. "I am Archivist Eleanor Pike. This is Dr. Naomi Reed." Lily blinked. "You bowed to me." Eleanor's eyes softened. "I bow to the question until the answer arrives." Dr. Reed set the crystal lamp on the table. "And I examine only what you allow." Lily almost laughed because the night had become too strange to survive otherwise. "Everyone keeps saying that now." Adrian's voice was low. "They will keep saying it until the palace learns what it means." Eleanor opened her case and removed an old registry wrapped in faded silver ribbon. The moon chalice responding to a covered mark narrows the possibilities. A false glamour would have reflected light outward. A curse would have darkened the flame. What happened in the banquet hall was recognition. Lily's fingers tightened around the veil. Recognition of what? Eleanor glanced at Adrian, then back at Lily. "I will not guess in a way that endangers you. I need to compare the mark to old Luna House seals." "Luna?" The word felt too high, too bright, almost embarrassing to hear near her servant dress. Dr. Reed's voice was gentle. "Old marks are not titles by themselves. They are records written in bloodline and vow." Lily stood abruptly. "No, I do not want bloodline. I do not want title. I want to know why Martha was afraid." Adrian stepped away from the hearth. "Martha Whitmore?" Lily looked at him. "The woman who raised me. The woman your steward erased before she was cold." Pain crossed his face. "Tell me." So she did, not all of it, not the parts that still belonged only to grief, but enough. The moongate. The blue blanket. The mark glowing at 10 years old. Martha's rules. The stolen cedar box. Marcus's warning. The note under her door. Adrian listened without interrupting. Eleanor's expression darkened with every detail. Dr. Reed looked toward the crescent mark as if seeing not magic, but a scar left by years of fear. When Lily finished, the fire had burned lower. Adrian stood very still. Marcus has controlled servant records for 19 years. Eleanor closed her eyes. Then if a child was hidden in the servant wing, he could have buried every trace. Could have? Lily asked. Eleanor looked at her. Did. The single word chilled the room. Dr. Reed lifted the crystal lamp. May I test the mark without touching you? Lily hesitated. Adrian turned toward the window, deliberately giving her one less pair of eyes to carry. That decided her more than any promise could have. Yes. Dr. Reed raised the lamp. Silver light from the crescent. Answered at once, bright but gentle. The lamp projected a pattern across the wall, a crescent moon over white leaves. Lily heard herself breathe. The blanket had that symbol. Eleanor went pale. How severely? Adrian turned back sharply. The lost Luna line. Lily stepped away from the wall as if distance could undo the words. No. I am Lily Whitmore. You are, Adrian said at once. Whatever else is true does not erase the name Martha gave you. Her eyes burned unexpectedly. You do not know that. I know enough to say no one gets to take one name from you while returning another. Eleanor looked toward the archive passage, urgency in her face. I must find the Everly registry. If this is what it appears to be, then someone hid the heir of a Luna bloodline inside palace service. Adrian's expression hardened. And Marcus knows. Outside the receiving room, footsteps paused, then moved too quickly away. Adrian crossed to the door and opened it. The corridor was empty, but a flicker of pale gold fabric disappeared around the far corner. Vanessa. Lily's stomach sank. Eleanor whispered, if Lady Caldwell heard even part of this, she will move before the record is confirmed. Lily lifted the veil, suddenly desperate to cover the mark again. Adrian saw the movement and stopped himself from stepping closer. You can wear it if you want. Her hands trembled over the cloth. If I cover it, maybe this slows down. Maybe. If I do not, everyone sees. Yes. Either way, I am no longer invisible. His golden eyes held hers. No, she hated how gently he said it. Lily tied the veil loosely, not hiding the glow completely, but giving herself the feeling of a boundary. Then I stay, she said, voice unsteady but clear. Not because you ordered it. Not because a mark chose it. Because Martha's box is missing, Marcus knows why, and Vanessa is already afraid. Adrian bowed his head like her choice mattered more than his relief. Then we find the truth before they turn it into a crime. Beyond the walls, the palace bells marked midnight, and Lily understood that the servant wing would never fully take her back. The girl who had survived by looking down was gone. In her place stood a veiled Omega with a royal mark, trapped near an Alpha King she did not trust, protected by a man she feared wanting to trust, and hunted by a court that had finally realized the secret it buried could still glow. By the hour after midnight, the private receiving room near the Royal Archive felt less like shelter and more like the center of a trap learning to close. Lily Whitmore stood beside the long archive table with the servant veil tied loosely around her throat, not fully hiding the silver glow beneath it, only giving her enough cloth to feel like the choice still belonged to her. The royal crescent mark pulsed against her pale ivory skin, warm and steady, while the projection from Dr. Naomi Reed's crystal lamp remained on the wall, a crescent moon over white leaves. House Everly. The lost Luna line. The words had not become easier because the room kept repeating them in whispers, parchment, light, and silence. Archivist Eleanor Pike moved through the shelves with ink-stained fingers, pulling old registries from locked cabinets, her white hair coming loose from its pins as urgency replaced ceremony. Alpha King Adrian Blackthorne stood near the archive door, tall and broad-shouldered in black and silver, light olive skin shadowed by firelight, golden wolf eyes fixed on every sound in the corridor. He looked dangerous enough to silence an army, but he had not asked Lily to remove the veil again. He had not asked her to stand closer. He had not called the mark proof before she called it anything at all. That restraint made her chest ache in a way she did not trust. "House Everly vanished before I was born," Adrian said, voice low. "My father's counsel said the line ended during the court purge." Lily looked at the silver symbol on the wall. "And no one questioned a whole Luna bloodline disappearing?" His jaw tightened. "Some did. Their petitions never reached the throne." Eleanor looked up sharply from an old ledger. "Or they reached the throne after being edited." Adrian turned to her. "You found something." Eleanor carried a heavy registry to the table and opened it with careful hands. The pages were yellowed, the edges brittle, but the seal, pressed into the margin, still held a faint shimmer, a crescent over white leaves. Lily's mark warmed so suddenly she gripped the table. Dr. Reed moved closer, but stopped before touching her. "Is it pain?" "No," Lily whispered. "It feels like recognition." Eleanor slid the book toward her. "This is the private Luna registry from 22 years ago. Most public copies list the Everly line as extinct. This one names an infant daughter born to House Everly shortly before the purge records were sealed." Lily stared at the page. The script swam at first. She saw dates, witness names, titles, lines of formal ink. Then one name caught her. Lillian Rose Everly. Female child. Crescent mark confirmed. Protective concealment authorized under emergency Luna statute. The room fell away. Lily heard the fire, the old shelves settling, Adrian's breath stopping. Lillian. Not Lily, not Veil Girl, not Western Wing Service. Lillian Rose Everly. The name felt both foreign and familiar, like a song Martha had hummed while thinking Lily slept. "That is not me," she said, though she could not look away. Eleanor's voice softened. "It may have been before someone made you Lily Whitmore. Martha made me Lily Whitmore." The words came out fierce. "She did not make me small. She saved me." Adrian moved one step closer, then stopped. "No one here is taking that from you." Lily looked at him, eyes burning. "You keep saying that." "Because someone has taken enough." The mark pulsed again, and the registry page shimmered as if answering him. Eleanor turned several pages forward. "There is a witness note. The child was removed from Everly protection after a false accusation that the family used forbidden glamour to influence the Luna succession. Several court officers signed the removal order. One signature is damaged." Adrian leaned over the table. "Show me." Eleanor angled the page. The ink had faded in one place, but the mark beside it was clear, the steward's seal of Marcus Vale. Lily's stomach went cold. He was there. "He was not steward yet," Eleanor said. "He was assistant record keeper under the Purge Council. Young, but present." Adrian's voice went dangerously quiet. "And he has overseen servant records for 19 years. Dr. Reed lifted the crystal lamp toward the page. Silver light spread across the damaged ink, revealing faint lines hidden beneath age. A second mark appeared beside Marcus's seal, elegant and unmistakable, the Caldwell House witness crest. Lily looked toward the door as if Vanessa might still be listening beyond it. "Caldwell." Adrian's golden eyes hardened. "Vanessa's family." Eleanor nodded. "If Lily is Lillian Everly, then House Caldwell benefited from the Everly erasure. The Luna candidacy should never have advanced without review." The world inside Lily rearranged itself with a cruelty she almost admired for its precision. Vanessa had not mocked her by accident. Marcus had not warned her because he cared about palace order. The veil had not merely hidden a servant's secret. It had hidden evidence. Evidence that could unseat a noble house, expose a court purge, and turn Luna's selection week into a public reckoning. Lily stepped back from the table. "No," Adrian looked at her. "Lily. No. I will not become a weapon in your court war." His expression changed, pain and understanding crossing his sharp face together. "That is not what I am asking. Maybe not out loud." But the mark glows, the archive opens, the old houses fall, and suddenly everyone has a reason to decide who I am. Marcus wanted me hidden. Vanessa wants me discredited. The court will want me polished into proof. And you." She stopped because the next words hurt before she said them. Adrian did not rescue her from the silence. He waited inside it. Lily forced herself to finish. You may want me because my name helps your throne. The fire cracked softly. Eleanor lowered her eyes. Dr. Reed became very still. Adrian looked at Lily with a controlled kind of grief, as if he had expected the wound but not its exact shape. You are right to ask that. That is not an answer. No, it is the door before the answer. He removed the royal signet from his finger and placed it on the table beside the Everly registry. The throne does not get to use you simply because the court harmed you. If your bloodline restores legal balance, it must restore you first. Not me. Lily looked at the ring, then at his bare hand. The mark under her veil warmed again, answering royal bloodline, royal vow, royal proximity. She hated that it answered him. She hated more that part of her did too. And if I refuse the name Everly? She asked. Then we protect Lily Whitmore. If I refuse the mark? Then we protect your right not to be displayed. If I walk out of this room? Adrian looked toward the corridor. Then I walk far enough behind you to make sure no one drags you back, unless you tell me to stop. The answer was too careful to be a performance. That made it harder to fight. Before Lily could respond, the outer corridor rang with raised voices. A guard knocked once, urgent. Your Majesty. Lady Caldwell has called for emergency council review under servant conduct law. Adrian's face went cold. On what grounds? The guard hesitated. Forbidden glamour, relic manipulation, and suspected influence over the crown. Lily felt the words land like old stones thrown from every direction at once. Glamour. Manipulation. Influence. Vanessa had chosen the perfect accusation. It made Lily's fear look like guilt, her mark look like deceit, and Adrian's protection look like weakness. Eleanor snapped the registry closed. She is moving before we can certify the Everly record. Dr. Reed picked up the crystal lamp. The mark can be verified. Not if they control the setting, Adrian said. He looked at the guard. Where is Marcus? With Lady Caldwell and 3 council elders in the throne antechamber. Lily laughed once, softly, without humor. Of course he is. Adrian turned to her. I can block the review until morning. Eleanor shook her head. Not cleanly. If they claim relic influence over you, any delay from your order can be framed as proof. Lily understood then why Vanessa had chosen the accusation. It did not need to be true. It only needed to make truth look suspicious long enough for court law to do the rest. What happens if they win? She asked. Dr. Reed's mouth tightened. They can order public examination of the mark under servant law. Lily's hand closed around the veil. Public. Eleanor answered gently. Before the council. Possibly before the noble houses. The room blurred for a second. Lily saw the banquet hall again, the moon chalice glowing, every face turning toward her throat. She saw Martha's hands tying the veil, Marcus taking the cedar box, Vanessa smiling because humiliation always looked cleaner when a rule required it. She could survive being seen. She was less sure she could survive being rewritten while everyone watched. Adrian's voice lowered. They want you afraid enough to run. Lily looked at him. Running seems reasonable. Yes. That surprised her. You agree. I would not blame you. But... He stepped aside from the door, making the path visible. But if you run through palace grounds with an unverified mark, Marcus will call it confession. Vanessa will call it escape from judgment. By sunrise, every noble house will hear that a servant glamour which fled after influencing the moon chalice. You believe I should stay. I believe you should choose with all the truth I can give you. Lily looked at the archive table. Everly registry, silver ribbon, Adrian's signet, the crystal lamp, the old name that might be hers and the living name that already was. She thought of Martha saying, "You were placed low." That is not the same thing. She thought of Vanessa calling her veil girl, Marcus warning her that names could be removed, Caleb watching her with worried eyes, and every young servant who had learned to bow before learning whether she wanted to. The mark glowed beneath the veil, not demanding glory, only refusing burial. There is another truth, Lily said quietly. Adrian waited. I am afraid that if the court proves I am Everly, Lily Whitmore disappears. Eleanor's face softened. She does not have to. Lily looked at the registry. The court disappeared her once. Adrian's voice was quiet but hard. Then the court does not get to be trusted with the second naming. The words settled in her chest like a stone she could stand on. Another knock came, louder. The guard's voice was strained. Your Majesty. The council demands the servant be presented before dawn, veiled or unveiled, under conduct inquiry. Conduct inquiry. Not identity inquiry. Not protection. Not truth. They had already chosen the frame, servant misconduct. Lily looked toward the window, where the palace garden was silver with moonlight. Escape was close. The old moon gate would be unguarded at this hour if Marcus wanted her to flee into his story. The receiving room door was unlocked, exactly as Adrian promised. She could run. She could also lose the last chance to make the court say Martha had not lied, that the mark was not shame, that Lily had never been low simply because others kept her there. She lifted her hands and untied the veil. Adrian went still. Eleanor inhaled. Dr. Reed's eyes filled with quiet respect. Lily did not remove the cloth completely. She held it in both hands, the crescent mark glowing clear above her collarbone, silver against pale ivory skin. I will not be examined like stolen silver, she said. Her voice trembled, but it did not break. I will not let Marcus define the room. If there must be a council review, then the question is not whether a servant lied. The question is who made a Luna heir live as one. Adrian's golden eyes burned with something fierce and controlled. That question will frighten them. Good. Lily folded the veil once slowly. I have been frightened long enough for everyone. Beyond the door, footsteps gathered. Somewhere in the palace, Vanessa was turning fear into accusation, Marcus was hiding old guilt behind new procedure, and the court was preparing to look at Lily as if she were the crime. But the royal crescent mark glowed brighter now, and for the first time, Lily did not cover it when the door opened. The council chamber before dawn was designed to make innocence look guilty. Lily Whitmore understood that the moment she stepped through the carved black doors with the royal crescent mark uncovered at her throat and the servant veil folded in both hands. The room was not as large as the banquet hall, but it felt colder, sharper, built from dark stone, silver law panels, and high windows that showed only the last blue hour before sunrise. Council elders sat behind a curved table beneath the blackthorn wolf crest. Noble witnesses filled the side benches in their formal selection. Weak clothing, whispering softly enough to pretend they were not enjoying the scandal. Servants had been kept near the back wall, visible but silent, as if the court wanted them to watch what happened to anyone who forgot her place. Lily stood in the center of the floor in her gray servant dress, pale ivory skin bare at the left collarbone, long dark chestnut brown hair falling loose around her tired, beautiful face, silver gray eyes lifted even though every year of training told her to look down. Alpha King Adrian Blackthorn stood several feet to her right, tall and broad-shouldered in black and silver, light olive skin shadowed by the cold chamber light, golden wolf eyes dangerously calm. He did not stand in front of her. He did not touch her. He stood close enough to make every person in the room remember his protection, and far enough to prove she was not being hidden behind it. Lady Vanessa Caldwell sat with the Luna candidates, fair skin luminous, golden hair flawless, pale gold silk arranged as if the trial were only another ceremony she intended to win. Lord Marcus Vale stood near the council table with a stack of servant records, his face composed, his brown hair threaded with silver, his eyes avoiding the glowing mark as if the light itself had become an accusation. The senior council elder lifted a silver rod. This emergency review concerns Lily Whitmore, Western Servant Wing, accused of unauthorized relic contact, possible forbidden glamour, concealment of bodily mark, and potential influence over royal judgment during Luna Selection Week. Lily heard the words and felt the old trap tighten. They had not said lost Luna line. They had not said House Everly. They had not said hidden child, stolen records, Martha Whitmore, Moongate, or old bloodline. They had made the question small enough to control. A servant had misbehaved. A servant had hidden something. A servant had disturbed important people. Vanessa rose with perfect grace. No one in this chamber wishes cruelty on a servant, she began, and Lily almost admired how beautifully a lie could dress itself. but we cannot ignore what every witness saw. The moon chalice responded after she touched it. The Alpha King altered the course of Luna's selection within moments. We must ask whether this girl carries a mark of noble blood, or whether she carries a dangerous glamour made to imitate one. A murmur moved through the room. Lily held the folded veil tighter. Adrian's voice cut through it. She did not alter the course of selection. The truth did. Vanessa turned to him with soft concern. Your Majesty, with respect, that may be exactly what the influence wants you to believe. The room shifted. It was a clever wound. Every time Adrian defended Lily, Vanessa could call his defense proof. Every silence could become guilt, every kindness manipulation, every question danger. Lord Marcus opened his records. The palace servant registry states Lily Whitmore was taken into service as an abandoned child by Martha Whitmore, laundry worker, no noble documentation, no family claim, no birth seal, no verified bloodline. Her use of a face and throat veil was tolerated under servant discretion, but not authorized for court ceremony. The steward office has no record of a royal mark. Lily looked at him. Because you took the records. Marcus did not even blink. A serious accusation from a servant under review. You took Martha's cedar box after she died. Martha Whitmore owned no private archive. You said that before anyone used the word archive. A few people whispered. Marcus's expression tightened for half a second. Vanessa stood smoothly. Fear can make memory dramatic. We should not convict an honorable steward because a frightened girl romanticized her caretaker's belongings. Lily felt the insult, not to herself, but to Martha. The mark warmed like a quiet ember. Her name was Martha Whitmore, Lily said. She raised me. She worked in your laundry rooms until her lungs could not bear the steam. She is not a prop for your pity. For the first time, several servants at the back lifted their heads. Vanessa's eyes flashed, but she recovered quickly. Then honor her by telling the truth. Did she teach you to hide the mark? Lily went still. There it was. The knife wrapped in courtesy. If she said yes, Vanessa would call Martha complicit in deception. If she said no, she would betray the woman who saved her. Lily's mouth felt dry. Adrian turned slightly toward her, but said nothing. No rescue. No command. Choice again, even when choice hurt. Yes, Lily said. She taught me to hide it. Vanessa's smile softened in triumph. Why would she do that if the mark were innocent? Lily looked down at the veil in her hands. She saw Martha's fingers tying it, not cruelly, not with shame, but with desperation born from knowing the palace better than a child could. Because she knew this room would do exactly what it is doing. Silence struck harder than any shout. Marcus spoke before it could settle. Or because she knew the mark was false. He placed a page before the council. A second registry confirms there was never a surviving Everly child in palace custody. House Everly ended during the purge, and claims otherwise were dismissed as fraudulent relic cult myth. Archivist Eleanor Pike stepped forward with the old Luna registry clutched against her chest. That second registry is a copy produced 5 years after the purge. The original private Luna registry names Lillian Rose Everly and records protective concealment. Marcus turned with cold politeness. A damaged document discovered under pressure, interpreted by an archivist loyal to a king whose judgment is under suspected influence. Eleanor's face paled, not from fear, but from rage held in discipline. Dr. Naomi Reed lifted the crystal lamp. The mark matched the Everly crest under neutral light. Vanessa answered, the mark may have been designed to do that. Lily felt the chamber sliding away from truth into exhaustion. That was the point. Vanessa did not need to prove the mark false. She only needed to make reality seem endlessly debatable until Lily's body became the easiest object to control. The senior elder tapped the silver rod. The council may order formal mark examination under servant conduct law. Adrian's golden eyes hardened. You will not. Vanessa spread her hands, almost sorrowful. There. You hear it. He forbids inquiry before it begins. Is that not influence? Adrian fell silent. Lily felt his restraint like a door closing. He could command armies. But Vanessa had turned command into evidence against him. The council elder looked at Lily. If you voluntarily submit to public verification, the matter may proceed with less suspicion. Less suspicion. Not safety. Not dignity. Less suspicion, as if humiliation were a discount offered to obedient women. Lily lifted her chin. What does public verification require? Dr. Reed answered first, voice gentle but strained. Under healer witness, the mark would be exposed to relic flame and compared to registry seal. Marcus added, and the subject must answer bloodline questions under oath. Subject. Lily almost smiled at how quickly names disappeared when law entered Hungary. And if I refuse? The elder looked uncomfortable. Refusal may confirm disciplinary concealment and justify removal from court service pending containment. Containment, Lily repeated. A servant at the back made a small broken sound. Adrian's jaw clenched, but he held his silence because Lily had not asked him to speak. Vanessa stepped closer, lowering her voice just enough to feel personal while remaining public. Do you see, Lily? This can end. Remove the veil fully, submit to the test, let the court decide what you are. If you are truly noble, you gain everything. If you are not, then at least your deception ends. Lily looked at her. You think being judged by people who benefit from my erasure is the same as truth? Vanessa's beautiful face sharpened. I think servant girls with glowing marks should learn gratitude when offered due process. That was when Marcus played his final paper. He unfolded a thin page with Martha's old signature at the bottom. Statement from Martha Whitmore, recorded 2 years before her death. It confirms she knowingly concealed the girl's mark to prevent palace disruption and admits the child had no verified noble origin. Lily's breath stopped. The handwriting looked like Martha's. The curve of the M. The careful spacing. The small line under Whitmore. For one terrible moment, the floor vanished beneath Lily. Vanessa saw it and softened her voice into poison. I am sorry. The woman you loved may have hidden you not because you were royal, but because she feared you were dangerous. Lily could not move. Martha had said, you were placed low. That is not the same thing. Martha had said, never let the court see the crescent. Martha had saved the blue blanket, hidden it in cloth, whispered rules with love and fear. But the signature was there. The court waited. Doubt, the oldest enemy, opened its mouth inside Lily's chest. What if Martha had lied to comfort her? What if the mark was dangerous? What if Adrian's attention, the chalice, the archive, all of it had only turned a servant's secret into a kingdom's instability? Lily, Adrian said quietly. Not to persuade. To anchor. She looked at him, and the pain in his eyes made Vanessa's trap sharper. If Lily let him help, they would say she controlled him. If she stood alone, they would swallow her in procedure. If she ran, she became a confession. If she submitted, they owned the shape of the truth. Her fingers closed around the veil. Slowly, she raised it to her throat. Adrian went still. Eleanor whispered, Lily, you do not have to hide. But Lily was already tying the knot. The cloth covered the glowing crescent, dimming the room by a shade. The council seemed to exhale in relief. Vanessa's smile returned, small and victorious. Lily heard her own voice from far away. I will not submit to a public examination. Marcus bowed his head as if accepting inevitable order. Then under servant conduct law, she must be removed from court access until containment review. Adrian stepped forward. Lily lifted one hand, stopping him. The whole chamber froze because a servant girl had stopped an alpha king with nothing but a palm and pain. No, she said softly. Do not let them use you against me. His face tightened. They are taking you. They were always taking something. Her eyes burned, but she would not cry in front of Vanessa. I need to know whether Martha's signature is real. Vanessa's triumph flickered because that was not surrender. Not fully. Lily turned to the council. Remove me from court access if you want. But preserve every record in this room. If one page disappears, every servant here will know the truth was afraid of laundry girl paper. Marcus's eyes turned cold. The guards at the door waited for Adrian's command, but Adrian could not give one without proving Vanessa's accusation. Lily had finally understood the cage. The only way through it was to walk while naming every bar. As the guards escorted her toward the side corridor, not touching her unless she moved too slowly, Lily kept the veil tied and her head lifted. The servants at the back watched her pass. Caleb stood among them, pale and helpless. Lily wanted to tell him not to be afraid, but the words would not come. Just before the door closed, she looked back. Adrian stood in the chamber with his hands open at his sides, golden eyes burning with restrained fury, powerful enough to shake the palace and trapped by the very law meant to protect his judgment. Vanessa stood behind him, shining and satisfied. Marcus held Martha's signed paper like a blade made of memory. And Lily, hidden again under the servant veil, was led away from the court that had almost named her, carrying the terrible fear that the woman who saved her might also have been forced to bury the truth. Lily Whitmore did not cry in the containment corridor, and that frightened the guards more than tears would have. They walked her past the servant passage, past the old moon gate, past the polished halls where she had spent years lowering her eyes, until the palace opened into the great court chamber where every noble house had gathered to watch her be judged. Someone had moved quickly. Blackthorn Court had been transformed from council room to public spectacle before sunrise, with silver law panels raised behind the throne, the moon chalice placed on a black pedestal at the center of the floor, and rows of witnesses arranged by rank beneath the chandeliers. The old servant veil was tied around Lily's throat again, dimming the royal crescent mark beneath it, and the gray servant dress she wore looked painfully plain against the silk, velvet, pearl, and gold surrounding her. But she walked with her head lifted, pale ivory skin cold in the morning light, long dark chestnut brown hair falling loose around her tired, beautiful face, silver gray eyes fixed forward. She had spent a lifetime trying not to be seen. Now every person who had ever benefited from her invisibility waited to decide what her visibility meant. Lady Vanessa Caldwell stood near the Luna platform in pale gold silk, fair skin luminous, golden hair perfect, her expression arranged into sorrowful concern for the court's safety. Lord Marcus Vale stood beside the law table with Martha Whitmore's signed statement, servant registry copies, and the polished calm of a man who believed paperwork could bury a person twice. Alpha King Adrian Blackthorn stood before the throne, not seated on it. He was tall and broad-shouldered in black and silver, light olive skin shadowed by sleeplessness, black hair brushed back, golden wolf eyes burning with a restraint so absolute the room seemed afraid to test it. When Lily entered, his gaze went first to her face, not the veil. That small mercy almost broke her. The senior elder lifted the silver rod. This public review will determine whether Lily Whitmore, servant of the Western Wing, concealed a dangerous mark, manipulated the moon chalice, and influenced royal judgment during Luna Selection Week. The words spread through the hall, poisonous, because they sounded official. Lily looked at the chalice on its pedestal. It sat silent now, silver-white and carved with crescents over white leaves, waiting like it had waited for her in the banquet hall. Vanessa stepped forward. "No one here seeks to punish poverty," she said, voice clear and graceful. "But a servant cannot be allowed to hide unknown power, disturb the oldest Luna relic, and bend the king's attention away from lawful selection. If her mark is true, let it prove itself under court witness. If it is false, let us protect the throne from deception." A murmur of approval moved through the noble rows. Lily felt the old fear press against the veil at her throat. False. Dangerous. Deceptive. The words were not new. They were simply wearing better clothes. Marcus laid Martha's statement on the table. The caretaker who raised her admitted concealment. She signed this record willingly. Lily's hands tightened. "Read all of it." Marcus looked at her. "There is no need." "Then I will." The court stirred. Lily took one step toward the law table. The guards moved, but Adrian lifted one hand. They stopped. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Marcus smiled faintly. "Servant records are not for the subject to handle during inquiry." Lily looked at the elder. "You want to decide whether I am a liar using a paper you will not let me read." The elder shifted. It was a small thing, but the room saw it. Adrian's voice entered the silence, low and controlled. "Let her read the statement." Vanessa turned quickly. "Your Majesty, that may be influence." Adrian did not look away from the elder. Then let the record show I influenced the court toward literacy. A breath of startled sound passed through the room. The elder, trapped between dignity and fear of looking absurd, nodded. Marcus's jaw tightened as he handed the page to Lily. The paper trembled slightly in her hands. Martha's signature waited at the bottom like a ghost asked to testify. Lily forced herself to read the words. At first, they were exactly what Marcus claimed. Martha Whitmore acknowledged concealing the child's mark. Martha Whitmore confirmed no public noble record attached to Lily's palace service. Martha Whitmore accepted responsibility for disruption caused by hidden signs. The room seemed to lean forward, eager for the old woman's love to become guilt. Then Lily reached the final line, written smaller, pressed harder, almost swallowed by the lower fold. Her breath caught. This is not finished. Marcus went still. Lily lifted the page closer to the light. There is a line under the fold. Vanessa's voice sharpened. Old paper often creases. Lily read aloud, and her voice carried clearer than she expected. I concealed the crescent not to deceive the crown, but to protect the child from the steward office until the Everleigh registry could be safely restored. The hall froze. Marcus's face lost color. Vanessa's perfect composure cracked. Lily stared at the page, and for one impossible heartbeat Martha was with her again, not as warning, not as grief, but as proof. Adrian stepped closer to the law table. Read the witness note. Lily turned the page. A smaller mark appeared there, hidden beneath a smear of age-darkened wax. Archivist Eleanor Pike stepped forward from the side aisle carrying the private Luna registry in both hands. Dr. Naomi Reed followed with the crystal lamp, its clear light already turning silver near the moon chalice. Eleanor's white hair was loose around her shoulders, ink on her fingers, fury in her posture. The statement was folded to hide the final line, she said. And the witness mark was sealed beneath altered wax. Martha Whitmore was not confessing fraud. She was creating a delayed protection record. Marcus recovered enough to speak. Speculation. Eleanor opened the registry. Original private Luna registry, 22 years old. Lillian Rose Everleigh, infant daughter of the lost Luna line, crescent mark confirmed, emergency concealment authorized. Vanessa lifted her chin. A convenient discovery brought by an archivist under royal pressure. Dr. Reed placed the crystal lamp beside the moon chalice. Then let the relic answer without touch. Lily looked at Adrian. He did not move toward her. He did not give permission on her behalf. He waited. The entire court waited with him now, and the difference nearly stole her breath. For once, waiting was not another form of control. It was a door left unopened until she chose. Lily looked down at the veil around her throat. Martha had tied it to keep her alive. Marcus had used it to keep her low. Vanessa had turned it into suspicion. The court had mistaken it for shame. Lily untied the knot. No one spoke. The cloth slipped from her neck and fell into her hands. The royal crescent mark shone silver against her pale ivory skin, elegant and clear near her left collarbone, shaped like a crescent over white leaves. Lily did not cover it. She stepped toward the moon chalice by her own choice, her long dark hair shifting over her shoulders, silver-gray eyes bright with fear and defiance. My name is Lily Whitmore, she said. That is the name of the woman who raised me, fed me, hid me, and loved me when this palace gave me a broom instead of a truth. She took another step. The moon chalice began to hum. If there is another name inside this mark, I will hear it. But no one in this room gets to use it to erase the first. The chalice light rose. Silver spread along the carved crescents, then down the branches of white leaves. Dr. Reed lifted the crystal lamp, and the light met Lily's mark in the air between them. The entire court went white-silver. Every royal flame bowed. The law panels behind the throne lit one by one, revealing old inscriptions hidden beneath layers of court polish. Eleanor read through tears she refused to shed. House Everleigh recognized. Protective concealment valid. Unlawful removal from Luna succession confirmed. Steward record alteration detected. Everyone froze. The words did not whisper. They rang. Marcus stepped back as if the floor had vanished beneath the shoes he had kept so polished for so many years. Vanessa stared at Lily not with contempt now, but with something far more honest, fear. Adrian turned to Marcus. You knew. Marcus's mouth opened, then closed. The silence answered first. Eleanor lifted another parchment. The servant intake record for Lily Whitmore was altered. Her age, origin, and gate discovery were rewritten. The original listed her as an unidentified noble child found at the Old Moon Gate with Everleigh Cloth. Vanessa's voice came thin. That proves nothing against House Caldwell. The moon chalice flared. Dr. Reed looked at the crystal lamp. It is responding to falsehood. A ripple moved through the hall. Vanessa paled. Lily looked at her. Say it again. Vanessa's eyes flashed. You are still a servant. The chalice did not flare. Lily smiled sadly. That part is true. I was. She stepped closer, veil hanging from one hand. Now say you did not know what Marcus hid. Vanessa's beauty hardened into panic. I knew only that old claims could destabilize selection. The chalice blazed. Gasps broke across the hall. Adrian's voice dropped into the kind of quiet that made rooms remember obedience. Lady Caldwell. Vanessa's composure shattered. Do you know what your court does to women who are not born glowing? We prepare. We train. We smile. We earn proximity while girls like her appear from servant corridors with moonlight in their skin and steal everything. Lily looked at the nobles, then at the servants. At the back wall, then back at Vanessa. You were not angry because I had power. You were angry because a servant might have it. No one defended Vanessa. Not even her own attendants. Marcus tried one final time to reclaim order. The mark may recognize Everleigh blood, but recognition does not establish fitness. She was raised without court training. She lacks noble discipline. She cannot stand beside the Alpha King. Adrian turned slowly. His golden wolf eyes were no longer restrained. They were steady, dangerous, and clear. You mean she cannot be controlled by the men who hit her? Marcus said nothing. Adrian stepped into the center of the room, but he still did not take Lily's hand. He faced the entire court. Let this be entered into public record. Lily Whitmore, also recognized by blood and vow as Lillian Rose Everleigh, is not under servant discipline. She is not under Caldwell review. She is not under steward custody. She is a free woman of protected Luna bloodline, and this court will answer for the years it buried her. The court shook with whispers. Lily's chest tightened around a feeling too large for breath. Free woman. Protected Luna bloodline. Not subject. Not veil girl. Not disruption. But Adrian was not finished. He turned to Lily, and before every noble house, every servant witness, every elder who had called her a case, the Alpha King lowered himself to one knee. A wave of shock moved through the chamber. Lily stared at him. What are you doing? Adrian looked up at her, bare of command though crowned by power. Choosing publicly what I should have protected privately long ago. Her throat tightened. You cannot choose me like a Luna candidate. I am not choosing you for the crown. His voice was low, but every person heard it. I am choosing to stand between you and any law that calls your existence a crime. If one day you choose me, it will be because you want the man, not because the king named you useful. The crescent mark glowed brighter, silver light softening the hard edges of the court. Lily felt the pull between them, old and warm, but not forceful. It waited, like the moon chalice had waited. Like a question. She walked toward him. Slowly, aware of every eye, every breath, every servant who had ever been told to lower her head. Adrian remained kneeling until she stood before him. I am not ready to be claimed, she said. The hall held its breath. Adrian's expression did not fall. Then I will not claim you. I am not ready to give up Lily Whitmore. Then I will honor both names. I do not know if I can trust you. Then I will earn trust without demanding it as proof. Lily looked at his open hand. The mark warmed. Martha's line returned. You were placed low. That is not the same thing. Lily placed the folded servant veil in Adrian's palm. Not her hand. Not her bond. The veil. The thing that had hidden her, protected her, shamed her, and kept her alive. Hold this, she said, voice trembling. Not as ownership. As witness. Adrian closed his fingers around the cloth with reverence. As witness. Lily turned to the court with the crescent mark uncovered and shining. I was not raised in your noble schools. I do not know your dances, your alliances, or your polite ways of lying. I know how marble feels under tired knees. I know which servants skip meals so banquet tables look full. I know what it means for powerful people to call silence peace. If Everly blood gives me a place here, then this is what I bring into it. She faced Marcus. Every servant record under your office will be opened. She faced Vanessa. Every Luna candidate will be reviewed without erased bloodlines under the floor. Then she looked at Adrian. And if I stand near the throne, it will not be because I was hidden royalty. It will be because no girl should have to glow before court to be believed. The servants at the back bowed first. Not deeply, not by command, but with a quiet force that moved like dawn entering a locked room. Then Dr. Reed bowed. Eleanor bowed. One council elder stood, removed the silver rod from Marcus's reach, and bowed. The rest followed, some slowly, some with shame, some because history had shifted and they did not want to be left on the wrong side of it. Marcus stood alone beside his altered records. Vanessa stood alone beside the Luna platform. Lily stood unveiled before them all, and the Alpha King remained on one knee, holding the servant veil like a sacred record of what the court had failed to see. For 7 days after the court bowed, no one in Blackthorn Palace called Lily Whitmore Veil Girl again. The silence where that name used to live felt strange at first, almost suspicious, as if cruelty had only stepped behind a curtain and might return when the chandeliers dimmed. But the changes came one by one, not as miracles, but as records, signatures, open doors, and frightened officials learning that ink could no longer protect them. Lord Marcus Vale was removed from the steward office before the full court, his authority seal broken, his private servant archive unlocked, and every altered registry placed under tribunal review. He did not shout. He did not plead. Men like Marcus had built their power on neat handwriting and quiet threats. Losing both in public made him look smaller than any punishment could. When archivist Eleanor Pike found Martha Whitmore's cedar box in his sealed cabinet, Lily held it with both hands and could not speak. Inside were pieces of the life stolen from her. The blue blanket embroidered with the Everly crescent and white leaves, Martha's hidden letters, a small painted portrait of a woman with Lily's silver-gray eyes, and one final note written in Martha's careful hand. My Lily, if they ever give your first name back, do not let them take the name that loved you. Lily cried then, not loudly, not for court sympathy, but for the woman who had hidden a Luna heir in laundry smoke and called it motherhood. Lady Vanessa Caldwell lost her Luna candidacy this same afternoon. The moon chalice confirmed Caldwell witness marks on the purge records. Her family contracts were suspended, her testimony rights revoked, and her place on the Luna platform left empty during the final selection ceremony. Vanessa accepted the sentence with a face polished into pride, but when she passed Lily in the corridor, her golden hair perfect and her fair skin pale with humiliation, she paused. You will find the throne less kind than applause, she said. Lily touched the uncovered crescent mark near her left collarbone, silver against her pale ivory skin. I was raised in the servant wing. I never mistook applause for kindness. Vanessa had no answer to that. The servant laws changed more slowly, but they changed. Adrian Blackthorn ordered every servant record audited by an independent council led by Eleanor and Dr. Naomi Reed. No hidden mark, disability, birth record, or family origin could be examined without consent. No servant could be removed from palace access under conduct law without witness review. The old moon gate was reopened, not as a secret passage, but as a memorial for erased names. Lily stood before it on the third morning with the blue blanket folded over her arm, her long dark chestnut brown hair loose in the wind. Her gray servant dress replaced by a simple deep green gown that Eleanor said matched the Everly colors and Lily said looked like moss after rain. Adrian waited several feet away, tall and broad-shouldered, black hair brushed back, light olive skin warmed by morning sun, golden wolf eyes steady and quiet. He had offered to leave her alone with the gate. She had asked him to stay where she could see him. That felt like the first honest shape of trust. I thought finding the truth would make me feel complete, Lily said. Adrian looked at the open moon gate, where old stone crescents caught the light. And does it? No, she smiled sadly. It makes me feel real. That is different. He nodded as if he understood the difference without needing her to soften it. Real is a harder victory. You sound like someone who has worn a crown too long. I have. She looked at him then, and the pull between them was still there, warm and patient. No longer a flare of panic beneath cloth, but a question standing in open air. In the days since the public reveal, Adrian had not asked for a claim. He had not called her Lillian unless the legal record required it. He called her Lily because she asked him to, and when council elders insisted the heir of House Everly should abandon a servant name for proper dignity, Adrian had only looked at them until they remembered dignity did not require their approval. On the final day of tribunal, Blackthorn Court gathered again in the Great Hall. But the Luna platform had been lowered to the same level as the council floor. The moon chalice stood beside the throne, glowing softly, no longer an instrument of selection, but a witness to restored truth. Lily walked in without a veil. The crescent mark shone visible near her collarbone, not hidden, not displayed for approval, simply present. Servants stood among noble witnesses by invitation, Caleb in the front row with eyes bright enough to make her nearly laugh. Eleanor read the decree aloud. Lily Whitmore, recognized by blood and vow as Lillian Rose Everly, heir of the lost Luna line, restored to full name, full house protection, and full right of self-declared title. When asked which name she would enter, Lily stepped forward. Both, she said. Lillian Rose Everly for the line they erased. Lily Whitmore for the woman who saved me. I will not return from being hidden by hiding the person who loved me. The moon chalice glowed silver. No elder argued. Then Adrian rose from the throne and descended the steps, not as a man claiming a prize, but as a king approaching a choice he had no right to command. Before everyone, he lowered himself to one knee again. The hall inhaled. Lily felt the old servant training try to make her step back, but she remained still. Lily Whitmore Everly, Adrian said, voice low and clear, I ask permission to stand beside you. Not because your mark answered my bloodline. Not because your house restores balance to my court. Because I have seen you without a throne, without a title, without protection, and you were already worthy before any flame near name. Her eyes burned. And if I am not ready to be Luna? Then you will not be Luna. If I want to learn the court before I lead it? Then I will make sure the court learns patience. If I never become what your nobles expect? A faint smile touched his dangerous, beautiful face. Then my nobles will survive disappointment. Lily laughed softly through tears, and the sound moved through the hall like sunlight entering a room that had expected judgment. She took the folded servant veil from Eleanor, the same gray cloth she had placed in Adrian's palm as witness, now edged with silver thread from Martha's blanket. Lily laid it across the moon chalice. This is not shame anymore, she said. It is proof that hidden things can still protect the truth until the world is forced to see it. Then she turned back to Adrian and offered her hand. He did not take it until she nodded. When his fingers closed around hers, the crescent mark glowed, and a faint silver vow light answered in his palm, gentle and waiting. No claim sealed without her words. No bond forced by relic or crown. Only a promise beginning where fear had once stood. I choose to stand with you, Lily said, voice steady enough for every servant, noble, elder, and ghost of the old court to hear. Not as a servant lifted by mercy. Not as a lost heir collected by power. As myself. Adrian rose, still holding her hand with careful reverence. Then I choose to stand with you the same way. The court bowed, but Lily looked past them to the open moon gate beyond the hall, where morning light spread across the marble floors she had once scrubbed before dawn. She had entered Blackthorn Palace as a hidden child with a veil around her throat. She stood now unveiled beside the Alpha King, carrying two names, one mark, and a future no one else would write for her again.